Good day, ladies. Today I decide to make a video about how to find out when you are ovulating. I am no expert in this matter. I just go by my experience. I've been trying to conceive for the past year and a half, and my experience and how I do things will be different from everybody else. So I started TTCing and I was not using anything at all. I was pregnant with my two kids and I never had to use OPK, uh, to take my temperature, to check my cervix, to do any of that. I just got pregnant, had my kids, never had to do anything at all. So this time around, it's a different story. So I've been struggling to conceive for the past year and a half, and my experience is helping me going through this journey a little bit better. So anyway, when I started, I was not using anything at all. I just was doing the baby dancing after my period all the way until I don't know when. So I saw nothing was working and I started looking for more information, talking to my doctor, talking to naturopathic doctors and all that. So I found out that I could check my cervical mucus because it is a good indicator when you will ovulate. I started doing that and I thought it was not enough. I was not really pinpointing my ovulation, and I started with ovulation test. I started with the cheapies on the internet. I bought, I don't know, 50 or 100 of them for like $7 or $10. So they were cheap. I had them on stock all the time in the house. So I started testing very early on. Right after my period, I would use them 2-3 times a day. I was just using them like there's no tomorrow. So that was that. So I found out later on that I could take my temperature and it would tell me how and when I will be ovulating. So for the past year, I've been using 4 methods. I do my temperature every morning before I wake up, before I sit up, before I drink anything, before I talk. I take my temperature, and I take ovulation test. I check my cervix, and I also check my cervical mucus. And the last two, my cervical mucus and my cervix, are the cheapest way to check for ovulation. But not everybody is comfortable doing that. Lots of people, they will be grossed out because of the cervical mucus, or they cannot find their cervix. So it is tough for some people to do that. I have one of my best friends, she is trying to conceive now. She will call me and say, hey, what's going on? I cannot find my cervix. I could find it yesterday, but tonight I can't find it. So it can be a pain in the neck, just like the temperature. You know, it's hard sometimes when it takes a while. You cannot expect to start testing your cervix for ovulation and for you to just get it right away, because you have to know what a soft cervix feels like, what a firm cervix feels like, what a soft cervix feels like, when it's high, when it's medium high, when it's low. Is it open? Is it closed? It is a pain in the butt. But over the past, I don't know, few months, if it's not a year that I've been doing it, to me it is like easy peasy. I could just do my cervix and cervical mucus to tell me when I ovulate. But I do not want to rely on just those two because let me tell you what happened to me this month. On cycle day 8, I checked my cervix. It was high, it was soft, and it was open. And I thought I was ovulating on cycle day 8. Thank goodness my husband was still here. We had a baby then that day. But my temperature was still very low, so I knew that I was not ovulating that day. I was not. But let's say I was not taking my temperature, I would have thought that I ovulated. It happens to many people. You think you ovulated yesterday and then you stop baby dancing and then you completely miss your ovulation. So I think it is a good idea to, if you're using your cervix and your cervical mucus, to have a backup plan, either your ovulation test or taking your temperature. And taking your temperature, it takes a while. Not everybody can do it. It is a commitment. Every night before I go to bed, I have to make sure that it is somewhere where I can reach to get it. My kids sometimes they want to check if they have a fever, if especially my youngest, he'll take this and put it away somewhere where I cannot find it. So I have to make sure before I go to bed I have this either under my pillow or I have it beside my bed on my end table. So you have to remember, if you're taking your temperature, before you get up, before you drink water, before you start talking, you have to take your temperature. I take mine every morning at 8:30 in the morning, and it is one of the best thing I can do, because it is hard. It is hard for, even still for me. I've been using it for a while. Let's say you just started using this and you don't know anything about when you ovulate, because for some people with PCOS, they have long periods, and sometimes they don't know when they are ovulating. So it takes a long time. Even for me, I don't have PCOS. I have a cycle of 26 days, very short. So I got to learn my body. I know I ovulate every month, cycle day 12 or 13. Sometimes it goes maybe on cycle day 11 for an early ovulation, and I think once I ovulated on cycle day 24. So you cannot just rely on this, because it doesn't tell you you will ovulate tomorrow or the next day. It will tell you that you ovulated yesterday, because when you're taking your temperature, if your temperature stays 97.6, 0.4, 0.5, you don't know what's going on until the next day when your temperature goes up to 97.9, 97.8, or 98.23. It tells you, you ovulated yesterday. So if you're not paying attention, you could miss your ovulation. So you cannot just rely on taking your temperature. Your ovulation test, for me, I don't rely just on this. Most people, they just do the ovulation test and then it's good. But I think it's a good thing too. But to me, I need a backup. I always needed to do at least 3 of them. I went away for a couple of days, 3 or 4 days, and I forgot my thermometer. And let me tell you, that was the worst 4 days ever, because I needed to know, because I've been doing it for so long. Every morning I do it. I wanted to know where I'm at. Is my temperature going up or what's going on? So anyway, it is up to you guys to try which one you feel the most comfortable with. A lot of people, they cannot test their cervix, they cannot test their cervical mucus. So if you cannot do it, that doesn't mean you cannot find out when you are ovulating. Then you have to move on to a different method, which is ovulation test and or your temperature. So it is up to you. For me, I use them 4 methods, and you know, you do what you have to do. You know, it is it's now it is part of my life, using those 4 methods pretty much every day. When I know I'm about to ovulate, I test my cervical mucus, my cervix, I take my OPKs, and I take my temperature. But the thing is, with these OPKs, they are so expensive. So I think I'm gonna go back to the cheap one. And that's what I was doing before. I was using the cheap one. And once I know I was about to ovulate, I would use an expensive one just to tell me exactly yes or no. So it is up to you guys. You do not have to use the expensive one. You can use the cheapos. But to me, I found it was a little bit frustrating sometimes when you're reading the strips. You cannot tell, is the test line as dark as the control line, what's going on. So that's why I moved on to this. Once you take it, you see the blank face or the happy face. Once you see the happy face, it tells you that you are about to ovulate. And it depends, guys, with this test. If you take a test, like I took one today at about 11 o'clock this morning, and it was a negative. Let's say it had a happy face. So I have no idea, maybe I had that surge since last night at, 11 o'clock. So it depends on when you get the happy face. If you get the happy face right at the time when you started to surge, then you ovulate from 12 to 36 hours. So they are good to have. It's can get a little bit stressful, but when you start TTCing and you're not seeing anything, you think you're missing your ovulation, you gotta go with either one of them. Thank you very much, guys, and I hope to see you back again. And this was a video to just tell you about my experience, what I do, and what I use. Thank you very much for watching, guys. See you later.